Another Monday is here. It's time for another Unity Through Music. Today, Five Finger Death Punch. Even wearing the shirt. Five Finger Death Punch, gotta admit. One of my favorite metal bands. If I had to go through the list, I might have talked about this before. But as far as, I'm going to go with everything kind of 2000s plus. Five Finger Death Punch is right there at the top. I like Five Finger Death Punch, Slipknot, Mudvayne, Hell Yeah, which, you know, they got the same lead singer, Chad Gray, but I like both of those. I could go through a lot, but Five Finger Death Punch, I think, puts out, you know, hit after hit, man. They've got really good stuff. And so this one, Wrong Side of Heaven. It's going to be a really deep song. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get the video to go up with this one as well. So if it doesn't land on Monday, it's probably because I'm going to have to re-edit this because they copyright block it due to using the video or something. I'll have to try to find a way to get around it. But I really hope I can get the video because the video that goes with this is extremely impactful. So without any further ado, let's just get to it. Get to the lyrics of the song itself, I want you to think about what you were just reading if you got to see that video there. And if you didn't, I encourage you to go watch the video that goes with it. But it's giving a lot of statistics about what's going on with veterans. And that's more or less what this song was attributed to. They're veterans who are being sent off to fight in these wars. They're returning home, and many of them are winding up in the streets, homeless, nowhere to go. And 67% of those veterans served for at least 3 years in the military. And it even said they gave everything, and yet we are failing them. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no one who has served in the United States military, regardless of what kind of person they are. I mean, like, look, deep down, they could be rude as they could be. If you've given a service to the country, regardless of how we feel about these wars, if you've served the country, you should not come home and have to face the streets. And we could talk about even the homeless in general, too, like many working class people who are busting their butt to keep this country alive and productive for all these years, to get a kick in the butt and kicked out of their home under the, you know, what took place between the loss of their jobs and the housing crisis and et cetera, et cetera. We could talk about that, too. But these are people who have been putting their life on the line in many cases in war zones, doing something that I haven't done and many other people haven't done. And they deserve nothing but the utmost respect for those sacrifices they've been making. And not only do they deserve respect, but they deserve to be able to come home and not have to live in the streets. It's absolutely saddening to see that.
I spoke to God today, and she said that she's ashamed. What have I become? What have I done? I spoke to the devil today, and he swears he's not to blame. And I understood, 'cause I feel the same. Arms wide open, I stand alone. I'm no hero, and I'm not made of stone. Right or wrong, I can hardly care. I'm on the wrong side of heaven, and the righteous side
break down what he's just said right there. I spoke to God today, and she said that she's ashamed. What have I done? What have I become? I spoke to the devil today, and he swears he's not to blame, and I understood because I feel the same. That's almost like it's leading to what's coming next. Arms wide open. It's the chorus that came next, but arms wide open, I stand alone. I'm no hero and I'm not made of stone. Right or wrong, I can hardly tell. I'm on the wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell. Put yourself in their shoes and think. Just think what those lyrics could mean. How many troops are coming home year after year suffering from PTSD from the things they're experiencing during these wars? I mean, now we know because of things that have leaked out about the innocents who've been killed thanks to these wars, thanks to things like the double tap. And these troops enlist to serve their country. And in many cases, thanks to the bad job situation, this is one of what they believe to be the best opportunities available for them. You got access to good car insurance, good health insurance. If you can make it through, you can at least get the VA. This is a system pushing more and more people to go fight these wars. Wars which, by the way, wealthy millionaires, billionaires, and in a military-industrial complex are profiting off of. They're profiting off of all this. Read General Smedley Butler. War is a racket. Follow the money. There's people profiteering off of these people's health degrading, their mental health degrading, fighting and dying. That's what's going on. And then they get into these war zones and they're having to kill in a lot of cases. The things that they see and go through scar them and harm them for the rest of their life. And it's been evident with multiple people who've served over the years that they go through so much of that traumatic experience that they come out, in some cases, not all, but some come out wondering like, what am I? It flips their whole world upside down for some of the things that they see and experience through war. It doesn't do that to everyone, but it's done it to some. And even if what they had to do to other people didn't do it, what happens when they come out and they've lost their legs? Or they've literally lost their sanity? Not only because of what they had to do to other people, but because they saw so many of their brothers and sisters get killed in the field. The toll this takes is absolutely unreal. And I'll tell you too, I had a grandpa who was in World War II in the United States Navy. He was on the USS Chicago. He was on 3 ships total, and he actually had all 3 of them during the time he was in the Navy at some point in time come under attack, and 2 of them were sank. But the one he was on primarily was the USS Chicago. Okay? And he admitted to me, like, he told me stories about what he went through, but he admitted, like, I don't think I could have mentally handled, being in the Army or something like that to know what they had to go through with the hand-to-hand combat. I mean, look at the Battle of Iwo Jima. One of the bloodiest battles in American history for American wars. I mean, it was a battle during World War II fighting Japan. And, they wound up going up the hill to fight the Japanese, and it wound up turning into hand-to-hand combat bloodbath. Pretty much. If I'm not mistaken, and I know it's referenced in a Johnny Cash song, which will be one I plan to cover a little later on as well. It ties into not respecting the people who've served in the military, the Ballad of Ira Hayes. But in that song it mentions, that there they battled up Iwo Jima Hill, 250 men, but only 27 lived to walk back down again. 250 people and only 27 lived. I mean, war's no joke. And the people who are over there serving, regardless of why we're there, the fact they're doing it, they shouldn't come home to live in the street. Everyone who watches this should feel sad for these veterans. If you don't, I don't know what to say for you. You can't blame the wars that are going on right now, that our elected officials have pushed us into, that the military-industrial complex pays them to push us into so they can profiteer. You can't blame the troops for that. You got to blame the leaders. You got to blame failed diplomacy and a corrupt system, but you can't blame the troops. You can't put the blame on them.
Just like me, what have I done, and who have I become? I saw the devil today, and he looked a lot like me. I looked away, I turned away, arms wide open.
Look, if you could see the video, what just took place, it showed that right now, somewhere a veteran is losing his family. And then it gave the statistic that in recent years, divorce between married couples, when one of the partners is serving in the armed forces, has gone up 42%. So what does that mean? That means that while this brave man or woman is serving in the armed forces somewhere, not only could they return home and be put out in the street because our country's not taking care of them, but while they're all fighting, their spouse, who doesn't see them, is having to live a life without them there, doesn't know all the time whether they're safe or not. They can't always just pick up the phone and call. And that strain is causing more of these couples to split up. It's causing that veteran to potentially lose his family. And it literally showed that the little girl walking down the street saw a man sitting there. And I don't know if it was actually supposed to be her dad or if it was her dad. I'm not sure what the depiction there was, but they certainly looked similar. Okay, but her dad was in the military. This was a military guy sitting on the sidewalk, and he's homeless. And he's lost his family, and he's looking at a picture of his wife and daughter. And this little girl walks by and hands the man a flower. And because he's a bum at this point in the street, the mom's like, no, get away from him. And he literally just breaks down and falls over. I'm telling you, no one who has sacrificed for our country and had to go fight in these wars. And if you want to argue that the wars weren't just, then that's even more of a reason why they should be taken care of. They're out here fighting the wars for these corrupt people to make them more money for building military equipment, not even to necessarily protect our country at this point. Like that's the slogan. But this isn't like World War II here. What we're doing in a lot of these countries is occupying foreign land to try to benefit off of the things they have. Afghanistan, look at all the minerals, look at all the lithium, and we don't want to leave. And yet, somehow or another, we have done nothing to put the Taliban more out of business than they were a long time ago. So what are we really doing? It's money. General Smedley Butler, war is a racket. So if these wars are unjust, as many argue, this is even more of a reason why what's taking place here is absolutely disgusting, because they're putting their life on the line under the banner of protecting our country while actually just serving a bunch of corrupt millionaires and billionaires and then still coming home to get a boot to the street. How low can you be? How low can you be to disrespect these people that way? They deserve better, and our country should give them better. And we, the people, should support giving them better.
I stand alone. I'm no hero, and I'm not made of stone. Right or wrong,
between the video, if it was able to go up, and what you just saw here, a veteran somewhere, well, first it said 460,000 veterans roughly are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. It also points out that right now, roughly a veteran spends at least 6 months in the street in a lot of cases. And right now, while you were watching this, there's a veteran wandering the streets wondering why his sacrifice went unappreciated. Now, that's what was on the screen. But in the lyrics, focus on those little bit of lyrics right there at the end. I'm getting closer every day to the end. To the end, to the end, to the end. I'm getting closer every day. Now, how could you interpret that? Perhaps the end is getting yourself out of the streets because there's, thankfully, since our government won't do it, charitable organizations who try to help these veterans. And they try to help them out. Or in the case where they might have died in service, there's organizations who try to help the widows and stuff out and their kids, so they can still have a home. And thank God we have things like that out there, because at least someone is trying to do something for these veterans, because our frickin' government who sent them off to war most certainly can't be bothered to do it, apparently. That's absolutely shameful. So the end could be the light at the end of the tunnel. The end could also be something else. What you just saw in the depiction right there was all the people who've been flashing across screen. If the video's able to go up. If it's not, I'm going to break it down for you. There's roughly about 4 or 5 guys who were they were depicting as being service members in the video here. Okay, and one, as it just showed there, was in the street. The other was able to come out, and he, I'm guessing, went on to better career, better life. He's got the suit and tie on. And they were in the same unit, okay? And the guy in the suit goes by and he sees his old teammate, his old friend, his old brother from the service, sitting there in the street, disheveled, dirty, clothes ragged, torn. The guy's going through so much that when he goes over to him to try to say, "Hey, it's me," he's pushing him away like, I don't know you, get away from me. And he has to literally like grab him like, "Look, it's me." You can see the guy in the suit. He's got a tear coming out of his eye. Now, there was another depiction a little earlier where one of the homeless veterans is out. He's drunk in public. He's frustrated. The cops come to take him in. They get the cuffs on him. They see he's got a tattoo on his forearm, which I guess must have been something from that unit. And the cop had the same thing on his arm. They're having to take him in, but he even looked at his superior officer that was right there with him, and they basically look at like, okay, yeah, just put him in the car, but you can take the cuffs off of him at least. Give him save him the humility of having to wear the cuffs. I mean, how often that actually happens? It's a video. But this kind of stuff shouldn't be happening to these people. It really should not. They made a choice to enlist in the military. That's true. I just kind of touched on a little bit earlier why they might have made that choice. Some want to actually serve. Some feel it's the best option to try to provide for their family because look at what's going on in the world around us with the jobs right now. Free trade deals, they've gutted a lot of jobs. So they feel this is one of the most secure things they can get. It's got money, it's got health care. Perhaps this is what I need to do to better myself and my family. I can get an education. So this is the career that they pursue. Now others do just join to go fight. I know people who've done that too. But that ain't everyone. And regardless of why they did it, it doesn't really matter. Some people genuinely are believing that the reason we're in these places is to protect the United States. You don't have to agree with that. But understand, is it their fault they believe that? That's what the propaganda's telling everyone. That's what mainstream media and the politicians have been preaching to us for years. So can you really blame them for believing that? It's not like they just created this idea in their mind. That's what's been getting preached to us for all this time. So I don't even think I could blame them for believing that. But they most certainly should not be coming on to this. And before I finish out and give a final thought here, I want to review one last time. What could you take from being in the wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell? Heaven is the place people think of where you go when you die and everything is sunshine and rainbows. Hell is the place where you go to burn and suffer. Right? Okay. To being in the wrong side of heaven. On one hand, you're in the service, right? You served our country. So like I said, a lot of what they saw when they were in there during that time, their friends getting shot, their friends getting killed, or the people they had to kill, the mental scarring, the physical scarring, the wounds, some that healed and some that won't, that they went through during that time period. In a way, figuratively speaking, they should be in heaven because they've served the country. Not like literally heaven, but like the figurative heaven. Like you should be respected. You should be honored. You should be in heaven. But I'm on the wrong side. Because while that might be the case, what's happened to me has flipped how I look at a lot of things upside down. I'm confused. And then not only that, but I'm out here in the streets too, in some cases. The righteous side of hell. Because mentally I'm in hell, but it's supposed to be righteous, right? Like I've served my country. I honored my call. Should be a righteous thing, but I'm in hell. The wrong side of heaven, the righteous side of hell. It's deep, man. Finished up by saying, in the time you were watching this video, a veteran somewhere took his own life. It said roughly 5,000 veterans die by their own hand a year, and that's one veteran every 2 hours. The cause? Physical, problems. The loss of limbs, the physical scarring, the mental scarring, what they come home to by being cast out in the streets, or a little bit of everything. Not even if they couldn't, there's some people who get the military so ingrained into them that even if they don't get cast out into the streets, when they return home, they can't readapt to regular life. They can't adjust. It's like a culture shock. They can't readjust to it. There's been many a case where they've come home, tried it, and figured out this ain't for me, and then go back off to serve again. They should not be left in the streets, period. Period. I'm going to go ahead and finish letting this play all the way out here to the end while we're talking here, because it's going to show. So while I'm talking, you can look at this if you want. It's going to show if you want to support veterans who are needing help. It's going to show all the list of websites you can go to and how you can help veterans. What I want to do is build a unity movement. What I want is a movement that encompasses the forgotten men and women in this country. One of those groups is veterans. Just like blue-collar guys like myself have been a victim of a flawed government. As I've been talking about in previous videos, like my one on Hank Williams Jr., Bo Cephas, Red, White, and Pink Slip Blues, John Rich, shutting Detroit down, Alan Jackson, the little man. That encompasses a lot of what my people, the blue-collar people, have gone through, the working man and women. And it ain't got nothing to do with color. White, black, Hispanic, Asian American, does not matter. They've all, in different ways, the small businessman, the hard-working blue-collar guy, the people who work in the textile mills, like my aunts, the people who worked in lumber mills, like my grandpa on my mom's side of the family, worked in a sawmill for a number of years and had to leave school in the 6th grade, his first job going to work on a dairy farm. Couldn't even make it all the way through high school. Had to leave in the 6th grade and go to work on a dairy farm to make money to help the household out. There's a lot of men and women who've been impacted by these failed policies from failed, corrupted politicians. They've been cast aside, just like these servicemen and women. And none of us should be. But it's especially despicable when these are the people fighting the wars you're causing, you're creating, and you're profiteering off of, and you won't take care of them. That is absolutely inexcusable. And if we want to build the unity movement, there's a list of issues we can't agree on. I've already talked to multiple people. Education reform. We could talk about some police reforms. We were just doing that on a video the other day. I don't agree with defund the police. Defund in the sense of maybe stop militarizing, but we still need the police. As far as that abolish stuff, that don't sell with a lot of people. Too divisive. You're not going to agree on that. But some reforms, reasonable talk that he had there. Fixing the jobs. Fixing these flawed trade deals. We could find some common ground there too. Ending the wars. Trump ran on it, and how many MAGA people voted for him? A lot of people on the left want it. Libertarians want it. Green Party wants it. It sells. And we need to bring these troops home. But when we get them home, we need to make sure they're taken care of. That needs to be added into the list. And anyone who doesn't support taking care of the troops once they're home, I'll argue that if you're on the right or the left, but I'll focus on this for the left, for example. If you're on the left and you say that we should not be taking care of the troops after they're brought home because, they were in flawed wars or they might have deliberately wanted to go kill or whatever, blah, 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 blah. If that's your take and you think that they shouldn't be taken care of after being put into a flawed war that politicians should never have gotten us into in the first place. If you want to think they shouldn't be taken care of because of that, then I'll equivalate that, even though I don't think they're on the same playing field. I think one really has more priority than the other. How about all that student debt you want wiped out? Because you as students, or many other people as students, whether they were right, left, or not, were pushed into an education system that was flawed, that failed, that pushed them to go chase degrees that they could find no job with after getting the degree, rack up all kinds of debt, and can't pay it back and are stuck working jobs for very poor wages. You want that to be taken care of. You want that to be taken care of and wiped out, but not the troops? See, there's an hypocrisy there. I'll give you the student debt forgiveness. You take care of the troops. You compromise with me on that, we got an agreement. I'll be for that all day long because they deserve to not have to come home and live in the streets. That's absolutely disgusting that they have to do that. So I know this one wasn't, an upbeat tune today, which a lot of these songs, I'm going to be honest. The one thing you're going to find about a lot of these unifying songs is they're not the old happy get out and dance type of song. They're not the ones that make you want to clap your hands. They're not the ones that want to make you just sit around and sing. They're not the songs that come across as the bluebird of happiness, to quote an old man I heard one time. What they are talking about are real problems. What they are, as some people say in the South, tearjerkers. What they are songs with really deep emotion that'll pull at your heartstrings. And they probably will make you feel bad. They probably will make you feel like shit. But the thing is, it's something we need to listen to. It's something we need to pay attention to. And it's something that I think people can listen to and find that common ground and be able to unify. That's what I believe. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Drop some comments in the comment box below. Give me your thoughts. Give me your feedback. Let me know if you've got some songs. I mean, I've got a few others lined up, but if you guys have something you think we should put on this, this is open, drop me your suggestions. I'll check them out. And then, if it's got a deep message, something we can use for the unity, then I'll be more than happy to do a review on it. I want to get the feedback from people. So let me know. We'll see you next time on the Lone Wolf Podcast.